Hello and welcome back to the Fresh Squeeze podcast, where we explore innovation in health, wellness and patient experiences. Today, we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Matthew Bynum, the visionary behind Bynum Aesthetic Dentistry in Greenville, South Carolina. Dr. Bynum has built a practice that blends state-of-the-art technology with a truly spa-like environment, complete with noise-cancelling headphones, massage chairs and lavender towels, while pioneering treatments like BrightGums, one of the first gum lightening procedures in the US. He's also a dedicated mentor of future dentists and a thought leader in the evolution of cosmetic and implant dentistry. Today, we'll explore how he's redefining what a dental visit can be, his journey into aesthetic dentistry, and where he sees the field heading next. But first, a quick message from our sponsor.
Thank you, Mars. This episode is brought to you by Citrico AI. Citrico helps private health clinics improve patient engagement, reduce no-shows, and streamline scheduling, so teams spend less time on admin and more time on their patients. To learn more, visit citricoai.com or drop a comment in the comment section. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Matt, lovely to have you on the show. I wonder if you could just begin by sharing your journey and how your company has become a benchmark in dentistry within the US.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. This is it's an honor to be on your podcast from, what do they say, across the pond, right? From across the pond. So I mean, starting out in dentistry here in the States, like everybody else, you finish dental school, and I think what ends up happening is you're about to finish school and you're scared. You don't know what to do. So a lot of people, when they're in dental school here, they go into residency programs for a year. So because they're unsure what they're going to do or where they should go or how they're going to do it. I was never that guy. I was in school, man. I was geared and ready to go into practice. So I jumped right into practice as an associate dentist. My wife is, she's a pediatric dentist. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but she was in her residency and I started into practice. Once we got going, my wife came to me and said that she wanted to move and be next to her parents. Well, in the States, it might be different than back where you're at, but if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So is it universal? Okay, good. You never know these days. So we moved to South Carolina, and my only requirement was that we start a practice from the ground up. So we built this practice that still is in existence today, 28 and almost 29 years ago, from the ground up. The building started out as 6,000 square feet, which I don't know, that's probably huge for you guys in this city, I'm sure. And we just expanded the clinic and the upstairs teaching facility. We added 5,000 square feet more. So we're 11,000 square foot dental building. So that's quite a lot of space. And, I now have 9 operatories, 2 surgical suites, and 3 consultation rooms. And the dentistry that we provided from the beginning has always been very patient focused, very state of the art, cutting edge. And we do this without insurance influence whatsoever. Now, I don't know what that means to you guys, but here in the States, most everybody in the dental world, they see a patient, they submit the insurance and they ask the patient to pay for a portion of that insurance that they're not going to cover on the procedure. I don't do it that way. I conduct my business just like you would. Business is business. I can't go into the grocery store and pay for, a third of the loaf of bread and then expect the rest to come in. I pay for the whole loaf. Well, same thing happens in my practice. So dentistry that you're going to have performed on you is paid for in advance or that day. And we will bill the insurance and they pay you directly. So I've done that since the beginning of my career, which everybody said I couldn't do from the beginning. They said it was financial suicide, and we've done that from the beginning. So we are what you call a true cash practice, and we've done it ever since. So that's really the evolution of how we started the practice. Since then, it's really taken off and moved from a full cosmetic practice where we did only veneers and smile changes and things like that to offering services like you mentioned, BrightGums, that I helped pioneer, but only because I was the first one that was licensed to do it. Really, the friend of mine, Rob Stanley up in Raleigh, North Carolina, is the one who invented the procedure. And I'm only doing it because of him. But and then I also started in the implant game about 12 years ago. So we do a lot of dental implant surgery here in the practice. So that's kind of where we sit right now.
Amazing. Matt, for the viewers who don't understand BrightGum, could you give them a quick minute overview of what it is and what it does?
Yeah, for sure. So BrightGums is really a procedure that uses electrosurgery units, and it basically goes down and wipes away gum tissue down to the collagen layer, where the melanin that we all have in our skin and gums, if you've ever seen somebody of ethnic background, if you've ever seen a smile where some of the gum tissue is dark, and if it's consistently dark, it's not a big deal. But if you have pink gums and a big dark spot right in the front of your mouth, that looks funny. It makes people think, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. Is it cancer? Is it whatnot? And all it is pigment, just like we have pigment in our skin. You know, I think I look like I'm a little bit darker than you, even though you're on vacation, Charlie. But, I have a little bit more melanin in my skin than you do. So in gum tissue, in ethnic people, that melanin is dark gums. Well, if it's splotchy, this comes in there and it wipes it away, takes away the melanin that's in the gum tissue all the way down to the collagen. So when it heals back pink with no black. So that's really the essence of what BrightGums is. So it works incredible. I mean, it is an amazing procedure that my friend Rob Stanley invented, and I've never seen anything like it. There's nothing comparable because it goes straight down to where the melanin lays and removes it. It's not a guesswork as to, you guys have probably talked to people where they can laser gum tissue, but that laser energy, how far does it go based on how high you turn it up, right? So you could be burning collagen that you need. You could be not getting all the melanin in this particular instance using the instrumentation that we use in BrightGums. It is almost 100% effective. So.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just going to go back to your practice.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, 11,000 square feet is the size of most hospitals in the UK, let alone dentists. So it's an amazing facility you've got. I was wondering if you can just go into a bit more about what inspired you to create a patient-centered spa-like environment.
I think one of the things about dentistry in the States is nobody likes going to the dentist. I don't know about how it is in the UK. I mean, I would imagine it's the same. Nobody likes to go because it usually involves pain and discomfort and needles and drills and, stuff that people are scared of. Well, I set out from the beginning to just change that. I wanted people to come into an environment where they weren't scared, where they come into it and it's not a big deal. It's more like coming to see a group of your friends and having your smile serviced or your gum serviced or whatever. And you walk out, happy and smiling, not in pain, not in discomfort. So that's why I use all the technology that I use. And that's why I create an environment that's very soothing and very calm. At the same time, it can be very loud and boisterous and fun because all the rooms seem to be a little bit open. I don't seal people off because we're not hiding anything. Most of the time you can hear people laughing up and down the hallway, and that kind of puts you at ease just a little bit. So with the clinic being as big as it is for us now, it's almost like you got to yell and echo down the hallway, but it's turned into a great addition to the facility. I've got an associate doctor with me, Dr. Molly, and she's been amazing, been with me for a couple of years. But also, with growth comes increased staff. You got to increase your employee and your personnel, and that increases your overhead. And you got to find ways to work around that change in overhead, So you have to run your practice as a business. And if you don't, even though dentistry is about health and taking care of people, at its core, it's still business. If the business fails, then you don't get to do any of it. So even though adding 5,000 square feet gives us more potential for more gain, it still increases the overhead capacity. So you really have to be on top of your game to be top notch so people continue to come in.
Might have to start flying to South Carolina for my dentist treatments.
Come on. Hey, we got people. I still got a patient. She flies from France.
Yeah,
twice a year, man. She comes twice a year for her cleanings and whatever she needs. It's crazy. I love it.
How did she find you?
She started here. Her husband was working for, I believe it was Michelin. In Greenville, we have some big companies that are here. BMW's in Greenville. They make the X Series car here. Michelin is in here, GE. So we have some big companies. So that's where she started. And when she moved back to France, she said that she never gets the care that she does here. She comes back twice a year. She has her dental cleanings and any appointment she needs beyond that. She sees friends and then she goes home. It's amazing. I'm like,
Brilliant.
you're kidding. I found,
You're a multinational corporation then.
there you go. See, and you could be our second international patient, Miles.
Be honoured. Be honoured. I want to go back to something you said in your introduction. You don't operate within the confines of insurance, and most people we speak to do. And I want to know if that feels like now you're well established. Does that feel like a competitive advantage to you?
I think it's a huge advantage from the standpoint of I don't have anybody dictating what it is that we do. I think when you're doing that with insurance influence, you have a tendency to be more cautious and more, well, gosh, what they really need is this, but the insurance isn't going to cover it. So let's do this. Well, I don't do things that move me away from giving you the quality of care that you deserve and you should have. So that's been my stick from the very beginning. It's always about delivering the best quality care that we can with no compromise, and we've done that from the beginning, which has allowed us the luxury of being able to sit back today and continue to do it. I think if you were coming out of school today and starting a practice, I think it would be really hard. But at the same time, if you have all the steps in place like I have here, you may be able to do it. And I think you could prove the world wrong. I think you can prove the companies that like the DSOs of the world, the dental service organizations, the corporate groups, which, I'm not for it. I think dentistry should be controlled by dentists. And what's happening now is corporations are coming in and they have big money and they're now taking over and they're telling the dentists what to do. And I don't think that's right. And I'm a big mom and pop guy. Like if you're a single dentist or you have 2 or 3 dentists and nobody else is controlling but you guys, man, I would do anything to help you that I can. So
it just feeds into being a patient-first organization, right?
Yeah. Say that again, Miles.
It just feeds into being a patient-first organization. You're not, as you said, you're just completely focused on giving the best treatment. You're not being swayed by insurance decisions or anything else.
Has nothing to do with outside source whatsoever. So if you or Charlie were to come in the office, we're going to treat you the same as anybody else that walks in the door. And I've learned through all my years of doing this that you really can't judge a book by its cover. I can't tell you. I can tell you the person that walks in the door that looks like they're dressed to the 9, 3-piece suit or a nice dress, makeup, nails, and they smile, and it's like, whoa, man, the teeth are terrible, and they're leveraged to the hilt. They don't have the money that you think they have, and then in walks Farmer Joe in overalls, and he's got a wad of cash that's this round, and can whip out $100 bills and pay for everything cash. So one of the things we never do is we don't judge anybody, man. We're here to service and take care of everybody that wants to come see us. And that's really important because I don't want to limit my practice to any certain type of person. I just love loving on people, man. It's when you get to have fun doing what you do, it's more of it's like a hobby, guys. I mean, it's better to be at something you love doing than something you don't.
100%. And it goes back to again what you said in the start of the question, start of the podcast, where you recognise that yes, you have a dentistry practice, but it is a business as well. And I remember reading Jeff Bezos' book, and in the early days of Amazon, he always used to say, "We're customer first. We're customer first. We do what's in the best interest of the customers. Don't worry about the competition and all that." And the best companies generally are. You're not worried about what anyone's doing. You're serving your customers to the best you can, and that will see you through. That's almost the number one most important principle of a successful business, right?
Absolutely, 100%. But there's too many people that are driven by influence of outside sources, but when that happens, that's when compromise comes in, right? Mm-hmm. We begin to compromise the level of care. You begin to compromise the materials that you're using. You begin to compromise the things that you're purchasing to be able to use. I don't compromise on anything. I use the best laboratories that I possibly can. I use the best materials. I buy state-of-the-art equipment to be able to utilize for you to make it easy for you in the operatories. things of that nature. So, but there's big differences in the UK and the US. I have a friend that practiced in the UK for quite some time, and he uses. Have you guys, when you have anesthesia, you two in particular, do they bring the regular needle out for you guys, the one that's silver that looks like that? So, what about you, Miles? Yeah,
Yeah, normally it goes in your hand.
yeah, silver. It goes in your hand. You kind of. So there's actually one of my friends from the UK has been using an instrument that we just now got FDA approved in the United States, and it's called the Quick Sleeper. And the Quick Sleeper is electronic intraosseous anesthesia that provides anesthesia inside the jawbone, which means everything gets numb, but you don't have this going on. So you walk out of there like you had nothing done, but the teeth you can't feel while they're working. So that's a technology that's been around for 20 something years, and it's done some evolving, but 20 something years, and we're just now getting it in the States. It's been in other countries for so long, but getting it past the FDA has been a challenge, and we just got it approved. I think it was 3 weeks ago. So we're actually launching the actual device at a meeting next week called Dentistry Corona World in Las Vegas. So really exciting to be able to use this thing finally. I've used it for I haven't picked up a regular syringe in 3 weeks since I got it back in my hands. So
Brilliant. So, Matt, why do you think that is? I mean, we always think of the States being, the pioneers of technology especially within the healthcare space. So, why do you think it is that it was not being pushed through?
yeah, I think everybody in the United States, when it comes to things that have the potential to cause harm, scares people. So the FDA, this actually instrumentation looks like I should have grabbed it and brought it in here. It looks like a new wave pen that you hold in your hands like a pen, and it has a drilling component because the needle goes into the bone, and because there's a turning component, the FDA was like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna wind somebody's face in this thing, and you're gonna kill them." So, I mean, that would never happen, but that's the fear in the United States of lawsuits. I don't know. Do they sue in the UK like they do here?
Not like they do in
No.
America.
See, in America, that's the problem is anybody for any reason can be like, you know what? I didn't like Charlie. I didn't like the way he looked at me. So I'm going to say that he hurt me and see if I can get my dentistry for free. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. And there's a process that they have to go through in order to do that. And I think that's the travesty of the United States is we may be cutting edge as far as technology, but because of the fear of its usage and the potential to cause harm, we pull it back. So I think we are maybe ahead in a lot of regards, but I think we're behind in others.
Interesting. And dovetailing nicely from that, cosmetic dentistry is evolving really quickly. We've talked about a lot of the technologies that have come out over the last 5 years, from minimally invasive smile makeovers to next gen dental implants. So looking forward, what innovations or trends do you think will transform the patient experience the most?
Gosh, I tell you what, the other day I heard about a material that's regenerating tooth structure. Put it onto the tooth where the cavity is and actually remineralizing and growing tooth. So, this thought that we could maybe even take a tooth out and implant something and grow another tooth. I used to think we were a lifetime away from that. I don't think we're a lifetime away anymore. I think we're years, maybe a dozen years from something like that. And, with the advent of AI, as you guys are aware of, the movement of knowledge and instrumentation is moving so fast that I think it's going to move faster than we can keep up with it. So I think you're going to see the ability to grow tooth in our hands where, we don't even need to drill anymore. Wouldn't that be amazing? You just figure out how to manipulate structure, put it on there, and it grows back. I mean, but I don't know. I heard they're going to start in the UK, and just in case they grow tails or something, Miles. So We gotta have a
So
testing.
no more old fake teeth.
Yeah, no, we gotta have a testing ground somewhere. So,
Well,
but
you're my
no,
dentist, so you can't touch me over here.
there you go. But I think smile changes and stuff. The materials have changed so much. The ease of how to do it has changed. And you talk about the difference in UK and the US. The horrible thing is that when I think about UK dentistry and UK smiles, unfortunately, we think of Austin Powers. Like you got all these crooked teeth, and and you see a lot of people that have crooked teeth and they're smoking and stuff. That would be the United States impression stereotype of a typical somebody from the UK, and that's not true. You guys got great teeth. I mean, but that's what we see because that's what's been put out there. And I think that the technologies that are available, BrightGums, the intraosseous anesthesia, hell, I have a piece of technology that uses AI technology to read. It actually taps the tooth, and it taps it 4 times. The first tap is to send a signal through the tooth to deliver a radio frequency through the tooth to either tell whether the tooth is stable, if it has enough bone on it, if there's an infection, and potentially if there's a fracture in the tooth, because the AI reads the radio frequency coming back after the tap. Now tell me how incredible is that? You can
Wow.
diagnose a tooth by using something that taps a tooth and tells you what's wrong with the tooth. Much like the AI you were talking about in regards to radiography and x-rays. All that is out there. It's what it does is it reads the x-rays and says, look at these spots. These aren't guaranteed cavities, but you may want to look at these spots. So it makes, if the 3 of us are dentists and we're in the same group, it doesn't mean that I know how to diagnose and you two don't. It now puts us on the same page to at least look at these red spots that are coming up. So that way, it's not that I'm the best diagnoser, Miles, you're the second, and Charlie's crappy at it. It's now we all have the blanket that we can look under and be like, hey, let's look at all these areas, and everybody looks the same. So I think AI is bringing some of those diagnostic capabilities to the forefront.
And I guess that makes the patient experience or patient's anxiety a lot less because they know
Yeah.
that if they go to any dentist, they're getting the best service. Well, I would hope the best service that they can because there's these technologies out there now which can identify what's wrong with them.
Well, I don't know what your impression is, but here in the States, a lot of times a dentist is a dentist is a dentist. They're all the same, right? Well, each one, the only reason you would know there's a difference is if the dentist hurt you, or if you were having problems with the work that was done, or the people up front when you came in were snotty. You know what I mean? And they weren't
Yeah.
happy people. They were bitchy, and you're gonna gauge based on that. But the dentistry is probably the same. Well, that's not true. There's so many different levels of dentistry that go on, and a lot of times I think you can tell that by the patient experience and how you feel about it, but also by the technology that's being delivered. If the dentist is utilizing technology, they're also investing money into something that's going to be used with you as opposed to not investing any money, because there's dentists that are out there that are practicing with the same technology they used 20 years ago. They're just getting bypassed, but that's what they know how to do. So that's what they continue to do. And there's a lot of changes in the profession. So
Of course. So Matt, I mean that leads quite nicely on. You're obviously hugely experienced with 30 years in the industry, and you mentioned previously that you've got a floor in your clinic where you get students in to come and do internships.
yeah.
Can you dive a bit more into your mentoring within the industry and also your lecturing at Farman University?
Yeah. So I think in order to be a good leader in anything, you have to be willing to mentor other people. Um, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? And when you serve in the capacity as more of a servant leader, the triangle it turns upside down. The pyramid that we all know leadership to sit in is here's the bottom people. They're learning to get their way up. And once you reach the pinnacle and you're the top, well, then what? So, when you flip it on its head, the servant leader is the one down at the bottom that's holding everybody up and teaching everything he can to everybody. And that's the way that I think leadership should be, is there's got to be mentorship. And that's really important to me, is to teach the next group of dentists what is involved into being successful, not only for themselves and their family, but how do you create a practice that's successful for patients like you guys? You know what I mean? What is it like to bring in the latest technology? What is it like to bring the personnel and teach them how to help run your practice, see your patients? Because that's what mentorship's all about, is showing all the things that you have learned in your 30 years. I mentioned Dr. Molly that works for me. She's been with me now for a little over 2 years. She's got 4.5 years of experience. She did a residency program, of which took a year after dental school, and she didn't learn crap. They didn't teach her anything. It was like an extension of dental school, where it delayed her becoming somebody that had to jump into the real world, by a year. So she lost a year of potential financial gain and more time to improve her skills to see patients. So, I think the mentorship is key. What I do with Furman University is these are undergrad students that haven't got into dental school yet. And they're trying to decide, you know what, I really think I want to do dentistry, but I'm not sure. And I say, bring them in. So this last summer we had 2 interns, and they would come in, they'd ask me questions, they'd watch procedures. I'd put gloves on them. I'd have them do different things. If I was doing surgery, I had them hold certain things, and they were, one of them almost passed out at one point. He wasn't ready for the blood and stuff.
Not for him then.
No, but you know what? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And again, if you never got exposure to that, and all of a sudden you're in dental school and you're in your 3rd year and you go, oh my God, I hate saliva. Now what? I mean, you're screwed. You're screwed. So that doesn't work. So again, I want to show as many kids that are interested in dentistry, which I love this profession. And as much as I think it's going to change, it's still going to be amazing. And the reason I love it is because I get to communicate with different people all day long. I get to communicate with, let's say, 20 different people come into my office today. I get to see 20 different personalities. I get to high five, 10 of them. I get to hug 8 of them. And, we get to shoot the shit and laugh and whatever, with everybody. So it's just fun to be able to do that. It makes your vocation a vacation, right? It makes dentistry fun, man. I mean, and if you're not having fun, why the hell do it?
Well, Matt, I mean,
Sorry, Charlie.
go on, Mars, you go.
Your mentorship being more focused on the mindset and the business element of the game. I think most dentists, you don't want to go into dentistry for the business elements. You want to go in because you've got a passion for teeth and helping people and altruism and that kind of stuff. Actually, it's a massively important part of their career, right, is learning how to run a practice. So the fact that you're helping them with that from early doors, and also showing them the possibilities of what can be done if they really want to. I don't know, you'll be able to give us a bit of introspection about, do a lot of young budding dentists aspire to have their own practice like yours? Do they even know it's possible, or do they think it's too hard?
Yeah, I think 2 things on what you said. One is there's a huge altruistic component to wanting to be a dentist, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to give back. It's something that it's inherent in all of us. We want to help people, mm-hmm. And it's no different than you guys have a podcast because you want to help other people. Mm-hmm. You're just using your industry to be able to do it. It's the same thing for us. We just have the ability to help people get out of pain, make them smile, give them confidence, do all these things that we love doing. But what's happening in schools around here is when you get out of school, you think there's no way that you can do that. I don't have the money. How am I gonna build a 6,000 square foot facility in the UK? How am I going to build out a 1,500 square foot facility to be able to see patients because I don't have any money? And how am I going to do that? I don't have any knowledge. So where I have the basic, dental school teaches you just enough to be dangerous. You have just enough skill that you won't kill someone, I think really is the deal. But I think there's the altruistic component, like you said, but the business component is huge because, again, you have to be somewhat successful. You have to be profitable to be able to give, right? In order to be charitable, you have to be profitable. So that's the big component of business that I really emphasize, because here in the States, dental practices do all different kinds. There are group practices that do, $10 million a year with 8 dentists, and that's awesome. But what's the overhead expense? What's the percentage they get to keep? All those different things. If you're not taught that, you don't know there's a difference. So I'll share with you guys. I mean, numbers don't scare me. I don't say them to brag. I don't say that I suck. I remember back in the early days that, when you hit the $1 million mark in your dental practice, that was something. $1 million isn't going to get you much of anything today. I mean, it's just $1 million practice is a very average practice. It's the way it works. I'm a solo practitioner that just hired an associate 2 years ago. And before she came in, I hit my practice hit 4 million. So before I brought her, I'm running a $4 million business. I've got 8 people, 9 people that are working with me, and I'm responsible for 9 families, including their spouses. That means something to me. You know what I mean? So how do you do that? If no one's taught you how to do it, you wouldn't be able to do it. They don't teach you anything in dental school. They don't teach you enough to be a business owner at all. It's all trial and error and figure it out as you go. So I'm sure it's the same in the UK, I would imagine. So mentorship, that's why mentorship to me is so huge, because I think if I want to help Miles and Charlie be the best that they can be, then I have to be willing to give to you two to be able to do that. That's when you asked me to go on the podcast, I'd be like, so what's your podcast all about? Talk to me. So, if it helps you guys in any way, then why wouldn't I do it? So I give up an hour of my time today. Big shit. You know what I mean? So the whole deal is, how do I help other people be the best that they can be? Whether it's business, whether it's helping them with their smiles, whether it's being on their podcast, whether it's giving them some technology tips, whatever it is, it doesn't matter to me. If I can help in any way, I'm a big proponent of that, because I got helped early in my career. Kind of you got to give to get.
That was Matt. I mean, first of all, it's truly inspiring, right? And then I was about to ask, who was your mentor, and who taught you the ways of running a business and building your own dentistry practice?
I started as an associate dentist where I worked for somebody, good friend. We're still friends today. He's Craig is, I want to say he's 80, 81 or 82. Craig Carlson. We practiced in San Antonio, Texas together. He's the first dentist that I worked with fresh out of school. And he taught me so many great things, man. And still grateful today that we're friends. As a matter of fact, I mean, doing some of the transitioning things we do in dentistry, you make a really good living, but it's what you do with the money that you make in dentistry that's going to move you on to the next level. I mean, I'm sure you guys know plenty of people that, I tell you, I do a $4 million business and you're like, that's nothing. My friend in tech just sold his for, $85 million. That happens on a daily basis. So there's people that are playing a much larger game than I am. And I've learned from the best of the best in dentistry, learning hands-on and the cosmetic skills. But quite frankly, all my business sense has been learned outside of dentistry. I've learned my personal stuff, my adaptations from, great business minds and inspirational speakers like a Tony Robbins. I've learned a lot from Tony. I had a good friend who passed away in January. His name was James Ray. I used to do a lot of personal development with James, and taught me a lot about life and a lot about thinking. There's just so many people in the business world that have nothing to do with dentistry, that if you were smart and you were in dentistry, you'd start learning young that you need to start paying attention to non-dentists, because that's where you learn business.
Brilliant. It's the diversity within your network, isn't it? It's key. It's key.
By far. But there are universal laws, right? I mean, in all businesses, there's universal laws. I mean, it's all, we got service, you got supply, you got demand, you got what is the gift that you're giving to other people that allows them the strength to grow somehow. You got to have the capability of leadership. You've got to have mentorship along with that. You've got to figure out what it is and the reasons why you do what you do for a living. You know, what's your end game? And if you don't have those steps in place, if you don't have those goals, like simple goals that I ask all the people that come work for me, what's your 1 year goal? What's your 3 year goal? What's your 5 year goal? Because I want to be able to help you hit goals along the way, those targets. Because if you're not hitting targets personally, then you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then you're not for me. You know what I mean? I need people with a growth mindset that can see past the roadblocks and move us beyond it.
So, Matt, to throw that straight back onto you, what is your 5-year plan for your business, and where do you see it going within?
This is great. I love this. So I got to tell you guys, I just got back from my 30th dental school reunion. We just 30 years, went back to the University of Iowa this last weekend. And this is the talk, right? We all been doing this for 30 years. What's your exit strategy? When are you getting out of dentistry? What are you doing? Because I'm 58 this year in December, and I'm at the age where retirement has got to be coming. But for some reason, man, I'm putting the pedal down. I'm more motivated to keep growing and keep doing things than I am to slow down because I love this stuff. So my 5-year plan is my son will be here in 2 years. My wife I mentioned is a pediatric dentist, so he didn't want to work with kids, those screaming little monsters. We don't want to do that. So he wants to work with the high maintenance, the cosmetics, and the implants, and what I consider the fun stuff. He's coming in with me, so he'll be here in 2 years. At the end of 5 years, I want to be able to basically, if I took my hands off the wheel, I know that the ship is going to go straight with Dr. Molly and Dr. Luke. And I know that I'm leaving a legacy behind, and they're still taking care of these same people that I've been taking care of for 30 years and their families. So my plan is in 5 years to still be here, but to be only working maybe a day and a half a week and then traveling the rest of the time. So
awesome.
I don't see myself, I don't see retirement, guys. Retirement for people is to get out. As long as I can keep my hands steady and my mind's clear and I can go in and do this, I'll do this till I can. Because I love dentistry that much. I love working with people that much. But I used to do a ton of public speaking, and I used to do a ton of speaking and lecturing and teaching. And I'm starting to get back into that just a little bit because I miss it. And the reason I miss it is for the same reasons we're talking about here, and that's mentorship. How do I help somebody become better than they are right now? How do I help them grow, whether you're 26 years old and getting out of dental school, or you're 50 and you're not sure what the hell do I want to quit because I hate the profession? Can I bring it back so you really start to enjoy it? How do I do that? That's my thing. So,
and that's the beauty of doing something you love, right? You never want to stop. As you said earlier, every day feels like a vacation, not a vocation, and that's all anyone can really want out of life. So, going back to your 5-year vision, every practice faces challenges, but if you have a magic wand to instantly solve one challenge in your business that may be stopping you, we didn't talk about a financial goal over those 5 years. It's more of a transition period for you. But what do you think is one thing that might stop you from achieving that?
I think if I had a magic wand could wipe anything away, it would be access to finances for the patients. And I said this to somebody this morning. I said this to a patient. I said, if I could get to a level of success to where I didn't even have to charge patients, I would still do this. Like, imagine sitting down, Miles, and you want to talk to me about a smile change. Give yourself a nice, gorgeous smile. I don't know. Let me see your smile. Yeah. So you got a great smile, man. So let's say you want to make it bright and white and you want to change a couple things. So let's say we want to do that. And I would say, Miles, traditionally that smile would be $25,000 American. What do you think it's worth? And then you would say, I don't know, I'll give you 5,000. And I'd say, great, let's do it. Not being tied to what the number is at all, but you have to have skin in the game for me to be involved with you. I've learned early on, when you give stuff away for free, there's no value to it. People don't hold value to things that are given away for free. I've done it multiple times. So you got to have skin in the game. But I would love to be at a point where it wouldn't matter what it is. Okay, let's do it. I think it's worth 20,000. Great, let's do it. Would that be amazing? I mean, that would absolutely be amazing. But to be able to wipe away the financial concern that people have, because there's so much need out there, and people don't have the ability to do a lot of what we recommend, and it's unfortunate. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess people always say to you after having treatment, "I wish I did that sooner."
Always. That's number one thing I hear is, "I wish I would have done it sooner." The gentleman I was talking to today, he had some extensive dental implant stuff, and he says, "I remember sitting in that room with you and your assistant, and you gave me the number, and I thought, holy shit, this is way too much. I can't. What am I going to do?" And he said, and somehow you talked to me about options, alternatives. We found a solution. We worked towards it. And I'm sitting here today, and I'm so grateful and so thankful, because now I'm saying, why didn't I do this sooner? And that's exactly what happens with almost everyone, but they have to cross that financial barrier. So, and I think that's probably universal. You know what I mean? I think maybe in the UK you have some socialized medicine and dentistry, so there's only limits that you pay. Is that true or no?
Well, we have the NHS, of course, which takes care of most of it, but you can go private if you want. The only drawback to the NHS is, well, I'm sure you know, it's well publicised, but
yeah. So that's something that for sure, if I could wipe away the money, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Awesome. Well, Matt, just before we close off and I ask the last question, I'd love to just get a quick explanation on your sign behind you, and what does that mean? The GSD.
What does it mean
GSD.
to you?
Get shit done, guys. I mean, I got two sayings I love in my life, and that one is "get busy living" or "get busy dying." I took that from the movie The Shawshank Redemption, which, if you haven't seen that, what a great movie. You got to watch that. But the other one is "get shit done." We all have things going on in our lives, and it requires us to do hard things. You know what I mean? If you want to advance and you want to grow, you got to do hard things, man. You got to set stuff in front of you that you have to overcome, because life isn't easy, and you got to put in the grind. You know what I mean? You got to put your nose down. When you're on vacation, you got to work. You got to get shit done. That's the way it works, man. And that's no different for me. And I emphasize that with everybody that works with me. So, that's just my daily reminder when I sit here. I don't pay much attention to it until you guys say, "Hey, what's the sign behind you?" So, but I look at it every day. You know what I mean?
It's brilliant.
I think for our listeners, that's your one piece of advice today: get shit done.
Get shit done. That's it, man. You got it.
Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed this. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
Matt,
it's been a pleasure to talk with you guys.
Cheers, Matt.
Awesome.